Hi, so we're at Tech Open Air 2014 and I'm here with David Pearce, legendary philosopher and co-founder of the World Transhumanist Association. David, how are you?
Very happy to be here, Eva.
So I know you just had your talk because I was interviewing you for it, but can you tell us or to the people who weren't at Tech Open Air about what you spoke about? I know you're going to show an animation which fortunately for me meant that you had to explain yourself. Can you talk a little bit about what you were talking about?
Yes, I was talking about transhumanism. What is a transhumanist? Essentially, people are transhumanists if they believe in the use of technology to overcome our biological limitations. What does this mean in practice? Very, very simplistically, one can divide transhumanism into three currents, the three supers. One of those currents is superintelligence, the idea of using technology to radically enhance intellectual capacities. Second current, super longevity. There is no immutable law of nature that says organic robots must grow old any more than silicon robots, and transhumanists believe in understanding the aging process and ensuring that everyone who wants to can live an indefinite healthy lifespan. And the third super, or super happiness, this is the idea that we can use biotechnology to phase out the substrates of suffering, not just in humans, but also in non-human animals. It's worth stressing here that we're not talking about becoming blissed out, so to speak. The idea is, in the case of starting off with humans, that we can use genetic engineering to radically recalibrate the hedonic treadmill. And that whereas today, this is rather simplistic, but you'll forgive me again, assume that our hedonic range, how happy or sad you tend to be, spans from, let's say, -10 to +10, with most people fluctuating a little bit above or a little bit below hedonic zero. The idea is that it's going to be possible to use technology, biotechnology, to radically ratchet up hedonic set points. I won't speculate on what the ultimate limits will be, but imagine that your average level of well-being in the course of a lifetime, your well-being and that of your children and grandchildren, span, let's say, from 90 to 100. You could still retain your existing values, your existing preference architecture, and yet your quality of life would be fantastically better. And as we actually understand the molecular genetic basis of hedonic tone and mood, it's going to be possible to recalibrate the hedonic treadmill.
And do you think that that's something that's going to be available to everyone soon? Or what's your timescales in terms of genetically engineering towards happiness?
The biggest obstacles, I think, are ethical and ideological, and that if you talk in the way I've been talking, a lot of people will think eugenics with very ugly memories of the 20th century. But already we know that there are particular genes and allelic combinations that are associated with an unusually high hedonic set point. And whereas today, right now, when most people have children, it's just throwing the genetic dice, see what happens. Even now, in principle, one can use pre-implantation genetic diagnosis to actually choose benign alleles, allelic variations that predispose to being temperamentally happy and, though it's much more complicated, even superior intelligence. But as I said, my focus is on well-being. If you're thinking, are there all sorts of things that could go wrong, pitfalls, yes, you bet. But each child is a unique genetic experiment, and I think the least we can do if we do want to bring new life into the world is not bring excessive suffering.
Okay, so I talk a little bit about Berlin in this conference. So I know that last time you came to Berlin was a little while ago. So what have you thought of today's event? What have you thought of Berlin as a whole? What are your thoughts on the festival that you've been at?
I've loved the festival. I've loved all the Berliners I've met so far. if everyone was as happy and cheerful as they seem to be here, I probably wouldn't be quite so focused on the issue of suffering and depression and anxiety. But as one gets to know people better and their lives better, one discovers this quite often immense reservoir of suffering and anxiety. I mean, particularly men, for instance, there is this enormous evolutionary premium to project an image of cool and success. But if you scratch beneath the surface, yes, quite frequently, all manner of unpleasantness, ranging from jealousy to anxiety disorders to depression. We know each year almost 1 million people in the world take their own lives. Hundreds of millions of people are clinically or subclinically depressed. I could sing you a happy song of what a nice, cool place Berlin is, and I've met some very fascinating people here. But sadly, beneath the glossy surface of life, there is untold suffering, and I said I would like to see that suffering brought to an end.
Okay, thank you, David. Thanks so much for
Thank
giving
you,
us your
Rita.
thoughts. Thanks for watching. I've been interviewing David Pearce about suffering, and maybe next year you can come to Tech Open Air and we can talk about other things as well as suffering and enjoy ourselves as well.